In today's video, we're going to be adding a gas station in this corner lot because a lot of people have been asking me why it's empty, and I'm about to show you. Before we get to that though, a lot of people also complained about the black parking spots in this corner of the city, so I took a bit of everybody's advice and I went ahead and swapped them out to the dark blue gray as well. And since I was already over here, I thought, you know what, I might as well go ahead and do some of the tile work and add in some of the plant life as well. A lot of this may change in future updates, but for the time being, I thought this would be a great chance for me to go ahead and do some decorating, because currently this corner of the city is actually rather boring. What I'm looking at possibly doing at a later update is I will probably add in a billboard and a small transformer. Something else I wanted to point out, if you haven't noticed it already, the lights flickered on the building just a few different times, and the biggest reason for that is I did not have friction pins in there, but these plates are held together with my magnets. So as I'm assembling and building, I'm putting pressure on the table and it makes the magnet pop apart. I wanted to point that out because if you do use my magnetic connectors, I do highly recommend using the friction pins to make sure everything stays fully assembled, and it will prevent a loss of connectivity for your electrical circuits throughout your table. Now that we have this little bit of decorating done, it is time to move on to working on the gas station, and I wanted to show you the set that I am going to be using. This is a old retired Lego gas station set, and I'm going to be taking this, modifying it, and using it for the corner gas station in my Lego city. First, we need to prep the spot it's going to be located, and the first thing I had to do is I had to take out the intersection base plate that was in there and put in the green one. After swapping that out, I had to rip out the sidewalks for the space to be able to drive in and out of the gas station. So part of that process, I went ahead and I also had to eliminate one of the street lights, which to me, it didn't really look that good anyway, because it was directly across from another street light across the street. To remove that street light from the circuit, I had to rip up the road plates, and since I had that up, I felt like I had too many different locations for cars to be located, so I went ahead and removed the modular building connectors that I use for my vehicles, and then I got busy trying to reassemble. It always takes a few minutes because, like I've shown in previous videos, the reason that I use these new road plate pieces is because there's a cavity on the back side of each one of these plates, and it allows for me to be able to hide my boards in the roadway. Now I'm going to quickly clean up the mess that I've used from all the repair and destruction that I've done from the first section, and then we're going to start ripping off the other half of the sidewalk. The opening on this side I am not going to make as large, and I'm not doing it for two reasons. The first being this section of road is a very small piece of roadway, so I didn't feel it was necessary. The other reason is I'm going to have a small parking spot next to the gas station, of which you will understand better as we get further along in the process of installing it. And I actually have a third reason as well. The way the set was originally made, you had a car wash on one side and a garage on the other. I don't feel that this little corner is big enough to have all those details captured in the build. So as I was remodeling the building, I took that into consideration, and I only added the entryway where you pay and the service station portion as well. To me, growing up, you never went to a gas station and did not see a small service bay where they could work on your car. Unlike today, it's very common to see car washes. And with me trying to have more of a vintage look to my city, a car wash just really wasn't appropriate and wouldn't fit in with the theme and design I'm going for. I know I did design this a little odd as well, and what I mean by that is I know it looks a little goofy in the aspect I was able to just pick the building up and place it on the road plate tiles. I specifically designed the building that way because I wanted the entire parking area where the cars drive in and out and even drive into the service area. I wanted everything to be level and even, and I wanted everything to match the roadway height as well. I placed the fuel pumps on a turntable piece, and I did that because with this being a corner gas station, I want people to be able to basically pull in and out. So I wanted the pumps to be on a slight angle, and I kept the pumps as far left as I could because I wanted there to be easy access to get into the service bay for the station. Now that I have everything plugged in and working, I can start trying to train the wires, as I like to call it, so that way I can place the final road plate over top of them, and then we can start tiling everything in for all the finish work, at least for the gas station area anyway, because after I am finished tiling that in, I have to work on the crosswalk areas that people are able to drive in and out of the gas station with. With those, I'm going to make them official crosswalks. So I'm going to have a ramp coming up and down the sidewalk, And just like you can see in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, I am going to have a hatched path for each one of those crosswalks for the entrances, because I feel that will look a lot more decorative. Even though I know, like where I live, for example, they do not paint a crosswalk. It's just the sidewalks there. You're supposed to know it and not cross it. To explain it to anyone that is not sure how I'm doing this, it's very simple. When I'm using the new road plates, the road plates are at 3 plates in height. So what I do is I put one row of plates on the very bottom, and I make sure there's a cavity for my wires to run. I put another row of plates on top, and then I tile over them. That way everything is nice and smooth, like you can see here. And to finish the look off, I even popped in a few new cars. But now let's get to the back side of the station. And for that, we just have to simply add some vegetation. I have a little walkway to get back up into the back entrance door. And then I also put a small gas meter there to the left of the door. With everything fully together, I personally really think this turned out really good. At least I'm overall happy with it. And with the size constraints, because it is strictly a 32 by 32 base plate for this corner, I wanted to get as much detail as I could, but keep everything as compact as possible. And I feel this accomplishes that. But now, let's add some details over to the railroad track area. And we're going to do that by adding in some power poles. The first piece we're building is the crossbars for the top of each one of the telephone poles, or power poles if you prefer to call them that. And it's simply a 1x8 plate, 2 1x1 tiles, 3 1x2 jumper tiles, and 2 1x1 round bricks. Next, we're going to make our power lines. And to connect the power lines, what I do, this is the tubing that I sell on my website, and I simply cut a small piece of 1/4 of an inch in length to attach 2 of these tubing pieces, because I do not know the correct term for this together, but these are what I'm going to be using for my overhead power lines. Lastly, we got to build the poles themselves. The poles are 8 small axle pieces attaching together 9 brown Technic axle connectors, followed by a Technic connector being held together with a axle with a stud. Now we're going to start assembling these along the railroad track. With the way that I have made everything, each telephone pole will be exactly 42 studs between the 2 poles, which gives you plenty of space and length to cross any roadway you're going to come across. And I feel that the finished product really looks good. I still have to add some transformers and some lines going to the buildings for a little added detail, but overall, I am extremely happy with the outcome. With every added detail, the city just seems to come more and more alive, and I cannot wait to get more progress on the city next week. Just adding in that gas station and those power poles has done a major transformation to the entire display. If you enjoy lighting as much as I do, don't forget to check out my website, www.bevinsbricks.com. The link will be below in the description of this video, because every lighting product I use in my videos, I make and sell myself. And I am constantly making new products to make lighting up your own city as easy as possible. Hope to see you guys next week.